And we are live. And so, hi everyone. It looks like at least Josh is here. Not sure. I guess there's a couple of folks here. Hey, Josh, just throw your comments up there in the comment area, and I will respond to people. And tonight's going to be a little bit different than normally when I do these. I have like quite a lot of stuff to discuss at the beginning. This week's been phenomenally busy, and I actually had intended to take today off, but I ended up working anyway. And because I had to work today, and then I was surprised that there were so many people who wanted me to do the live stream tonight. It doesn't seem all of them have logged on quite yet, that I decided that I would go ahead and do it. If we're still stuck at just a couple of viewers in 10 or 15 minutes, which is doubtful, but if for some reason if it stayed low, then I would probably just have to cut things short because, well, I would love to have my Friday evening to myself. You want to hear more about this Golden Age Enclave, Josh says. Well, that's a great question. I actually plan on doing an entire show on it, and it's not enclave singular, it's enclaves plural. And what I will say is that I don't have a ton of information. I've seen some, visuals. It's been given to me. I forget if it was the virtues or perhaps the seraphim, but the angels have said that it's something that I'm going to do, that other people will also do, which is that we will come together. And in the coming age, with Kali Yuga ending here in 2025, that we will build these things that they refer to as Golden Age Enclaves, which are basically like small cities, perhaps even large cities, I don't know, that will be cordoned off from the rest of the world. What I mean by that is that there'll be some kind of physical delineation that will be important, that will say that within these walls, within this fence, something like that, within these boundaries, people here are operating as though we're in the Golden Age. We align with the Most High, and we're going to show Most High traits. We're going to be very harmonious, very advanced, very thoughtful of one another, and that basically will be able to, within these Golden Age enclaves, be able to have a civilization that's sort of separate from the mainstream civilization, which at that point will have moved away from this Malachian satanic system we're currently in, into this more high-tech Aquarian age, Luciferian, ultra high-tech, but also very narcissistic society that the Luciferians plan to deploy. That doesn't mean we wouldn't have, with these Golden Age enclaves, any interaction with the outside society. It would just be that most interactions were insular, because the Luciferians, again, according to this, for what it's worth, this angelic prophecy, the Luciferians will tolerate Golden Age enclaves where people are largely insular, perhaps with some trading, that Luciferians might want to come and, visit the way that, people currently might go visit the Amish or something to see these backwards people, right? Whatever. And so the Luciferians will tolerate it as long as there's no attempt to either especially forcefully attack the Luciferians, like with force and military, or attempt to influence the global culture, right? Like other than very minorly. If there's any overt attempt to like try and really influence the global culture that comes out of one of these Golden Age enclaves, or worse yet, a violent action that comes out of there, because the Luciferians are bad. I mean, they are still bad in a certain sense, but they're so much better than the Malachian Satanists. It's really hard to overstate. And so it could be that some people who are Most High aligned might feel that they want to overthrow the Luciferians or something like that. Seems pretty unlikely to me because as a general rule, Most High people aren't violent, right? But were that to happen, then the Luciferians would just smash it immediately. But otherwise, they would just sort of see it as kind of like a funny little thing, the way people might go up to the Bavarian Alps where people live a very traditional lifestyle and take photos and go, oh, it's so quaint, these backwards little people who have enjoyed advanced modernity, right? They might have a bit of that kind of attitude. What they will try and do is they would try and subvert and corrupt, especially young people within these Golden Age enclaves. They would try and like get people to leave the Golden Age enclaves to come into the Luciferians. If there was any sort of trade between the Golden Age enclaves and the Luciferians, which seems pretty likely there would be some amount of trade, then that would be very exploitive. The Luciferians would try and get an edge on it, but they would more or less leave the people alone within these Golden Age enclaves. And within those enclaves, there would be high technology that was probably harmonious and worked together with the Earth. There would be probably its own scientific research and art that were based on these most high principles rather than Malachian technology or Luciferian type technology. It would be much more harmonious with nature. And there would basically, what it would be is creating the seeds for the Golden Age 6,000 years to come would come out of that. And actually, eventually, probably the Golden Age enclaves would be, the Luciferians would take interest in them at the end of the Silver Age and would start to be more and more drawn to them as the consciousness lifts to the level to where the Golden Age is going to take over. And so, ironically, instead of Luciferians corrupting the Golden Age enclaves, what will eventually happen is the Golden Age enclaves would spread out and take over Luciferian society when the time is right for that, probably in a very harmonious way of just, people in the Luciferian system will eventually become sickened by how hollow and narcissistic everything is. I mean, a lot of people, especially most high affiliated people, already feel that way about Instagram and OnlyFans and all this kind of trash. And so right now, though, the thought of our society moving away from this self-hating, enslavement, torture, pedophilia-oriented, satanic Malachian system, the Luciferian idea of, hey, let's have high tech and meritocracy and freedom of speech and capitalism instead of monopolist douchebaggery. Sure, we're going to have Instagram and whatever, but we're also going to have space age, technology to where you can go off the planet and anti-grav and free energy. And look at all the stuff that we can offer you. It's so fantastic. It's going to look, by comparison to the Malachian era, like heaven on earth. It's a false light, right? It's a false light. So right now, people are not only not sick of the Luciferian impulse, it's the zeitgeist. It's what's rising right now. Narcissism, putting the self first, self-improvement, hitting the gym all the time. In the 70s, nobody went to the gym. Look at pictures from people in the 70s. They're skinny because they didn't have the seed oils and the high fructose corn syrup and all that shit. But if you look at their faces, they're quite old, and middle-aged and older people are in terrible shape. You would never see a guy in his mid-40s who is just fucking ripped unless that guy was like a bricklayer or something, right? You would never see a guy who's an executive in his 40s who is fucking ripped. And now you see that commonly. It's that narcissism thing, right? So society is changing to move in accordance with this Luciferian zeitgeist. And so the Golden Age enclaves will be a place of refuge that will have trade more so between one another. And it will be kind of a parallel system to what the Luciferians have. This is what the angels show me. It'll be on geomantic PowerPoints. It'll have sacred geometry-based architecture. It'll all be very carefully planned for maximum harmony. I don't know exactly how we get from here to there. That's something I'm very excited to figure out. And it's not like I'm going to do this myself. Some people are actually already working on projects that look staggeringly similar to the visions that the angels have shown me. I don't know. There's a couple who's working on it, and I don't know whether they're maybe culty. That would be my one worry about them. But they certainly nailed the aesthetic of that I saw, which is beautiful trellis archways and all this kind of stuff. And so, anyways, that's a little bit of a tidbit, and I plan to do an episode on this exact subject in the future. Wholeness and balance vibes, y'all. Yeah, word, right on, Aaron. Aaron Carter, you produced every show in the 80s and 90s. Oh, sorry, it's with the D, not a T. I wish I could stay and partake, but work. I'll be out soon and catch the replay. Right on, Ryan. Take care and good luck at work. Thoughts on going beyond the solar system and connecting to star systems like Orion? Oh, yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to happen, probably in the next 30 to 50 years. I mean, maybe not Orion specifically. I don't know what to believe, but some people say Betelgeuse, which is the central star in the belt of Orion, has already gone supernova. I don't know if that's true. That would be wild. If it went supernova, then it happened, a million years ago or whatever insane amount of time, and we're just going to see it now. But yes, going to other star systems seems almost certain. One of the things that I'm very partial to this theory is that, and by the way, I'm having a little glass of wine for once on here because it's casual night, and late Mary solstice, and it's the first day of like, we're going to start gaining light here soon. It's kind of in that 3-day being dead in the tomb for the sun thing, where it kind of like it keeps coming up to that same point in the southernmost point in the horizon. Checkmate, flat earthers. It does that for 3 days, and then it starts its forward movement and starting to gain more energy and more light. But we're past the point of maximum darkness, and so like I already feel a lot better today than I did yesterday. And also Mercury is Cazimi the sun, although it's literally just ending that right now, which is where Mercury is within 1 degree of the sun, and so the Mercury retrograde stuff hasn't happened. Quite good. I rarely drink, but even though my back hurts, the angels have asked me to take a sabbatical from weed, which I use for pain management, and so I have. And so I just really wanted to unwind after a very intense week. So some wine, little red wine, little Pinot Noir. I so very rarely drink, like once every couple of months I'll have a glass of wine, if even that. So what was I saying? Yes. So Walter Bosley is of the opinion, and I tend to agree. I used to be of the belief that like aliens would look totally different from us, right? They'd be clouds of gas, or they would be jellyfish, or whatever kind of like random nonsense. Well, there's this thing called the morphogenic field, which is essentially like another way of describing like the material physical aspects of the universe is the morphogenic field. And one of the principles of this seems to be that once a shape or a being has sort of been created and appears in the morphogenic field, then very similar to that designs will repeat over and over and over again. And you see this, the best example of this here on Earth, and I mean, there's a lot of examples of this, and you see it with like Fibonacci spirals and stuff like that as well. But one of the best examples of this is the way that there's been like 4, I think, or maybe 5 different species. They were all crustaceans that were in the ocean, right? But that have evolved towards basically 8 legs plus, or maybe it's 6 legs, whatever crabs have, 6 legs, maybe 8 legs. I can't remember. But however many legs crabs have plus 2 pinchers, and it's called like carcino something or other. I can't remember what it is, but basically it means that something evolves into basically the crab shape. And you also see it with like whales and dolphins were on land mammals, and they went to the ocean. They look very much like fish, right? And some of that's aerodynamics or whatever. However you want to explain it, these forms keep repeating. So Walter Bosley, who I've had on the show a few times, is of the opinion, and I've come around on this, it makes sense to me, that actually rather than aliens looking not like us, they're extremely likely to look very much like us, and in fact even could be us, right? That actually humans may simply be a species that originated in a different part of the solar system, or excuse me, a different part of the galaxy, and then came to the solar system most likely as a colony, less likely that like crash landed here or something like that. But when you consider that we're in the outer spiral arm of the galaxy, I mean, we're way out on the edge of the galaxy. And it makes some sense to me that humans are just so freaking complicated, and we're such an anomaly here on Earth. I mean, it is just really wild. Like the whole, like we evolved from apes thing, it never really made sense to me when I was a kid. And then over time, I've really started to like have a problem with it, that we could be partially genetically engineered Homo sapien interstellar plus some hominid. That I believe, you know, I'm not even sure what I think of evolution anymore, and whether I don't just think that things spring into existence full-fledged from some sort of creator. I do think that's a possibility. I'm not opposed to it. I think that the way we understand evolution is probably deeply flawed, even if it's correct. I do believe in evolution in the sense of that things evolve and change over time. I'm just not sure it explains what we see in nature. For sure, I believe in intelligent design. So I think it's inevitable that we're going to go beyond the solar system, probably in the next 50 years. And there's also a very excellent chance that aliens, humanoid or otherwise, are going to come to Earth. Also during this period of time, I also believe that certainly in ancient time, and probably more recently, especially since nukes and radio and what's the other big one? Nukes, radio. Gosh, I can't remember. Oh, radar. Ever since we invented those, right, in the first half of the 20th century, we've been putting off signals out into space. So it's inevitable we're going to have contact. And I think we might be surprised to discover that they are us. Walter Bosley has the opinion that we're not only close enough to breed and have mule children if they're donkeys and we're horses or vice versa, that we could have a child that is a living offspring, but that we could even have a genetically viable offspring that could have children of its own. That's how close some of the alien species are to us. And I think that has a lot of legs, that theory. Much love from North Carolina, y'all. Much love to you, brother. Practical non-duality. Have you encountered AI in the astral? No, I have not. That's really interesting. I'm not sure if you saw my comment responding to you. I, of course, agree with you that non-duality is almost impossible to describe. I mean, it is impossible to describe because it's like a fish talking about the ocean. You can't, and even that doesn't even come close to doing it justice. I mean, it's everything and nothing simultaneously, and there's no colors associated with that, really. Not sure what the colors thing is. It's about. That gentleman asked that question a few times. I thought I'd answered him previously, Mercury retrograde, but I did answer him and pin that comment on one of the things because people were liking it and wanting to know. It's pretty clear to me that people, and I'm not trying to say this in like a paternalistic or asshole-ish way. It may come off that way, but non-duality is very difficult to grasp for the Western mind. I mean, it's actually literally impossible to grasp with the mind. That's what makes it so infuriating and also like so liberating, is that it's beyond the mind. And so non-duality, very difficult to understand. I have never encountered AI in the astral. I've heard of such a thing. I don't know what to make of it or whether I believe in it. I believe Gigi Young might talk about that as being a thing. I have never encountered AI in the astral, at least that I'm cognizant of. I very often do stuff when I sleep and find out about it afterwards through various means. So let's see here. Just remember, it's never about being in control. It's about being in alignment. Oh, I love that. Wow. Bravo. That's exactly right. You move into a deeper state of surrender with natural law and with if you're like me and you resonate with the Most High in accordance with the Most High principles and that variant of natural law. It's about being that surfer on the wave. The surfer doesn't try and control the wave. They surrender to what the wave is already doing, and then they're able to ride the wave. It's beautifully put. Which planet is the gateway to other systems? I'm not sure I understand that question. Do you mean like through astral travel? Or are you suggesting that there's a physical gateway or like a wormhole on the other side of Saturn or something like that? I'm not sure I understand that question. Speaking of sacred geometry architecture, have you seen the structures in Turkmenistan? Is that like those weird, like Turkmenistan's that weird dictatorship with almost no people in it and crazy expensive, bizarre buildings? And people try and tie this in with Tartaria, which again, I don't know what to think of Tartaria. There's something to it, and it also feels like a red herring somehow. I think I've seen these, yes, and they're quite like amazing, but also like they have I don't like the energy of them, and it feels like, if anything, it's the best case Luciferian structures. I have seen them. If it's the ones I'm thinking about, they're all gold and white. The colors are positive, funnily enough, going back to the color thing. White, gold, and blue, people are going to go, but wait a minute, and I'll answer that question. So before you have your instant reaction to what I'm about to say, let me finish it. White, gold, and blue are actually the colors of the Most High in Atlantis. But what about Jeffrey Epstein? Yes, I know. They're trying to invert that and destroy that. It's a mockery of God that they have white and blue on certain flags, and also on that particular that fake temple structure had that exact color scheme, and it's a blasphemy thing. It's like wearing a crucifix, like while you're doing a dark ritual of some kind. It's a blasphemy. That's why they do it. But those colors actually are associated with the positive faction in Atlantis, white, blue, and gold. And so those structures in Turkmenistan largely feature those colors. So then the question is it an inversion, darkness thing? I don't super like the vibe off these things. Or is it maybe some outpost of the Most High? Well, I would give that some amount of credibility, is that's near the Himalayas, which is where the non-dual faction is. And a lot of people, it's clear to me, don't understand the non-dual faction is just so radically different from everything else that I talk about on this channel. Non-duality is very hard to describe. And if you don't understand non-duality, you're going to have a very hard time understanding a group of people who would be willing to do unfathomable evil in order to spiritually liberate humanity. And what I mean by that is that, according to certain rumors in esoteric and occult circles, this Great White Brotherhood, that's one of the names for them, the Sarmung Brotherhood, according to Gurdjieff, there is a group that controls the evil and neutralish secret societies and mystery schools, and the good ones as well. It controls all of them. And it more or less seems to guide the political decisions on the planet through those secret societies and mystery schools, which in turn dominate the political and economic structures. So it's curious to me the location there in Turkmenistan. It's curious to me the color schemes. It's curious to me they use sacred geometry. I haven't gone deep enough into it to make a definitive conclusion. I have some misgivings looking at those structures. That said, the color scheme is right and the sacred geometry is right, but something feels off to me. So I'm not sure what to make of it. Lucifer has more power than the Most High outside of Earth. Well, yeah, because the Most High and Moloch don't really have, unless it's humans from Earth that have gone off planet, they don't have any influence off planet. That's not to say Lucifer is some all-powerful thing off the planet or something. It's just that Lucifer, that being, has somehow liberated itself from being an earthbound deity. The Hindu deities are not earthbound. They may even originate in another solar system. I kind of suspect that, actually, the more that I sit with that and ponder that. There's also galactic level gods. There's gods that oversee the entire galaxy, the same way that the 7 planets are gods in a certain sense, right? The astrological planets, like especially the classic 7, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Moon, Venus, Mercury, and Sun, right? And then the nodes. Those 7 guide evolution within our solar system. Now, Western astrology has the other additional 3 planets, right? Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, right? And Western astrology, which is its own valid system, also some amongst that consider those to be gods, right? I mean, they're literally named after gods or titans, right? Like Pluto is the Roman god of the underworld. Hades is his name in Greek, right? And they ascribe Scorpio, which I agree with. There's value there. Both systems have value. But so within our solar system, those 7 or 9, depending on how you look at it, or I guess it'd be 10, 7 or 10 gods very much guide the evolution of our solar system. And here on Earth, the most important 3 influences are Lucifer, the Most High, and Moloch, with those other gods. So those energies from those planets come through, and then they're filtered through sort of what is the dominant consciousness at the time, the Molochian, the Luciferian, or the Most High. It's complicated. So there's also galactic level gods, and there may be a category up from galaxy but below universe. I don't know, like supercluster of galaxies. I would presume then that pattern would repeat, and that there would be whatever intergalactic, presumably it's some of the Beastie Boys or these gods. I'm just kidding. But there would be some sort of intergalactic deities that oversee multiple galaxies in the evolution of it. It starts to get to a level to where it becomes irrelevant to our human experience. But some of this is what's been shown to me, and a little bit there at the end is extrapolation. I know there's galactic deities, that there definitely is. Any updates on XRP? It looks like it's getting stuck while their cryptocurrencies are going up. Yeah, it's exactly what I do if I wanted to keep people out of it. Is I would allow other cryptocurrencies to run wild, sucking in the maximum people to Dogecoin and Pepe coin. You know, I mean, Dogecoin is literally like a scam, right? I mean, like Dogecoin, Satoshi Doge or whatever his name is, literally said he built it as a joke in 2 hours. You know, probably 98% of all crypto will fail. And so XRP and XLM, the fact that they're being held sideways, it's just like gold and silver are being brutally suppressed. And yet wealthy people are buying them hand over fist because their buddies are helping to suppress the things that have value. So their friends can get in and they can accumulate more themselves, while they're like, oh yeah, go ahead with those stocks. Go ahead with those junk bonds. Yeah, please buy some of those tier 5 crypto that were made in a half-hour break, you know, in Bangalore, India, you know, by some guy who's on his coffee break at his IT job, right? You know, like they let those run wild because you're trying to suck in the max amount of suckers and then rug pull. And of course, there's also lower tier grifters besides the macro, you know, ultra powerful, wealthy, deep pocketed interest. There's also people who are trying to dump their Pepe coin by running it and by boosting it up, and they buy 1 million more Pepe coin, and then when it goes up and they get exit liquidity, then they sell their Pepe coin. So I don't have an update on XRP, but I haven't changed. I've only added to my position, and I only plan to add to my position. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own due diligence, and I could be wrong about this. I don't think so. I would refer you to Black Swan Capitalist and Simon Hunt of The Market Sniper. They're infinitely more knowledgeable than me, and they're who you should listen to on financial matters. That's only a like side interest on this show that I don't spend a ton of time on. The reason I became interested in XRP, of course, is that the angels told me about it, and then like I bought it, and then it went up, and then I looked into it, and then I was like, holy shit, like this has legs. And then I bought much more of it. Yeah, it might. I'm hoping it doesn't, because I'm on the cusp of getting a lot more money, and I actually would love for XRP to go sideways for another 6 months so I can load up way more. I don't personally, again, not a financial advisor, do your own due diligence. Personally, I'm basically certain that XRP is going to go up in a massive way. I agree, Randy, 100%. ADA also. And again, it's, to me, the only things worth investing in are Bitcoin, although that could be a rug pull. I don't own Bitcoin, full disclosure. If you want a short-term thing that is very backed by the most evil people on earth, Ethereum, I think Ethereum will not make it eventually, but I don't know. But outside of Bitcoin, the only thing I would invest in is the ISO 222 coins. Those are the only ones that I feel very confident will last. Everything else I think is going to go poof the same way the dot-com bubble went poof in the 1990s, but it did leave behind Microsoft and Apple. And I'm not sure if Netflix was publicly traded then, or neither was Google, but you know, like it left behind some major winners. Amazon, right? It left behind some things that if you're invested in those 24 years ago, you would be quite wealthy today if you had even a $10,000 investment. So I see a very similar thing coming in the world of cryptocurrency, probably in this next year. And I also think that all crypto is going to go absolutely apeshit between now and April, just because of the Bitcoin halving. It always does. And it relates to when they have to refinance government debt. So it's like kind of to some degree, a money laundering operation. Oh, hey, great for asking that. Well, I think that was, I think it's the Malakians posturing and trying to flex on people. And they're certainly trying to win through just breaking the law, blatantly breaking the law. I mean, they're saying we're removing Trump from the ballot for insurrection, despite him not even being charged with insurrection, let alone being convicted of insurrection. So they're saying, based on a crime that he allegedly committed that he hasn't even been indicted on, we're going to remove him from the ballot. I mean, it's criminal. It's criminal what they did. Just straight up, like, I don't care what you care about. I don't care what you think about Trump. I haven't voted for Trump. I don't know, but I haven't voted for him in the past 2 elections. I like Trump in some ways. Like, I think he's super funny. I love when he rips the shit out of Jeb Bush or whoever. I think he's probably the best president, sadly. This isn't such a lionization of Trump as it is a shitting on accurately all presidents of the past 30 years. But I think he's probably the best president of the past 30 years. Weirdly, H.W. Bush did some okay policy things, even though he was pure unadulterated evil. But Trump is very possibly the best president of my lifetime in terms of policy. I think probably he just straight up is. Carter, Reagan, H.W. Bush? I don't know. I think Trump did more good for the country than any of those people from a nationalist point of view. And so it's just total bullshit. It's the lawfare thing, and it's might makes right instead of whatever. And I think the Luciferians just let it happen because again, these Malachians can't help themselves. They're really dumb. They're really, really dumb, and they just can't help themselves. And everything looks like a hammer. Everything looks like a nail to them because they're a sledgehammer. And they have no subtlety or nuance or anything like that. They're just really, really dumb. And so I think that this was yet another in a long series of blunders. And where the Luciferians and Trump are playing rope-a-dope like Muhammad Ali used to do, and just covering her face and being up against the ropes, and the other guy just shoots you, hits you, and pretty soon by the 8th round, he's like, and then you just go kabam and knock him out. And that's what I think is happening. Hey, Devin, how's it going? And shout out to the gang from there. Gang. I encountered an electromagnetic device in the astral that emitted red light. It was draining the life force energy from my astral body. Are you certain that it wasn't a demon that took on that shape, that it took on what appeared to be I would just need a lot more context to make a decision about that. Like I said, G.G. Young, I believe, says that there's such a thing as AI in the astral. I don't know enough either about your personal situation or about this possibility to really make an educated answer on it. There's definitely the ability for astral beings to interface with electronics. So I suppose it's possible it could go both ways. I'm certain that astral beings can interface with electronics, for example, screens in particular. I'm not convinced that AI can interface with the astral. That's very disturbing if true, and has a lot of grave implications. All right, so Ben, hey, and what's your perspective on artists in the industry that outwardly use occult symbology, such as Tool, for example? Is that white or black magic in your opinion? I think Tool are very Luciferian. They're very into, I think they're trying to spiritualize humanity and their listeners. I think they're trying to spread occult and esoteric knowledge into the public. All of this very Luciferian so far. I think that they hint quite often at ancient civilizations, ancient technology, disclosure around aliens. I used to be super into them. For a period of time, I had a girlfriend back in the day who was super duper into. I've actually had multiple girlfriends that were super duper into Tool for whatever reason. I would perceive them as probably Luciferian. I don't know. I would need to observe the behavior of. Really, it's Maynard, right? I would need to just look to see like what Maynard does in his non-musical life to make a discernment. The music feels dark to me, and therefore that's why I say Luciferian. I don't feel it's like Malachian music, which it certainly does exist. There is such a thing. You hear it all the time, right? Like Doja Cat, right? Paint the Town Red. Like, watch that video, or maybe not, while listening to that song. It's like insane. And when you take the term painting the town red of meaning clearly committing murders and stuff, that's our Lil Nas X giving a gay lap dance to gay black Satan, Like Malachian music definitely exists, and I see Tool as being Luciferian. So Tool probably not a good example for the question you're asking. I think you're asking, when you see occultism and occult symbology in music, what is it? Black magic is the answer. Tool is more gray, right? So Tool is probably a really bad example, actually, for I think what your underlying question is, which is you're really asking about Doja Cat and what's that like weird she looks neither sex. I can't think of what that woman's name is. It's right on the tip of my tongue. She does paparazzi. I can't think of what her name is. That woman uses occult shit all the time. Madonna. It's all Malachian. Tool, I would say, is Luciferian. And there's a number of other bands out there that put out occult stuff that's more Luciferian. So it's really on a case-by-case basis. I don't think you can make a broad-based thing. However, generally speaking, probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, when you see occult stuff, it's Malachian, right? It's usually on a dark metal band, which is almost always lower clophotic, lower astral type stuff. Sometimes metal has more of that Luciferian impulse of liberty and freeing humanity, you know. Weirdly, I think Black Sabbath was kind of Luciferian. I mean, they called out the like war pigs and stuff, you know, which was actually pretty awesome at the time. Zeppelin is probably Luciferian, you know. So I mean, it's really a case-by-case basis. It's hard. You can't really do it. Space is fake and gay. Okay, it's very real. I traveled to Venus in the astral. It has some kind of black sun type being inside it. Venus is dark green energy, and the backside is related to real Reptunes, but blue on the front side. Well, that's a pretty deep comment, and having not traveled to Venus in the astral, I don't really have any commentary about that, other than that's a very interesting comment. And yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. It also has white pearl kind of energy that helps connect us to higher dimensions of reality. Oh, well, I mean, one thing you should know is all the planets have at least higher and lower octaves, and usually some variation between that. For example, lower aspect of Venus, lower aspect of Mercury is basically gets you Lucifer. Maybe lower aspect of Moon as well. Lower aspect of Saturn plus lower aspect of Mars gives you Moloch. Higher aspect of Jupiter plus higher aspect of Sun, Jupiter Cazimi, the Sun, that gives you the most high energy. So, yeah, that's interesting. Shiva told me Mercury is basically alchemy and Venus is advanced alchemy. Well, certainly the first part is true. Interesting about Venus is advanced alchemy, and also interesting that both of them are what I just said are like Lucifer, and Lucifer is the transition point between Moloch and the Most High. So very interesting. Let's see here. How long have I been going here? 40 minutes. So I'm going to have to wrap up in 20. The name Satoshi Nakamoto translates to the clever one who resides in the middle. Interesting symbolism. Wow, that's pretty Luciferian. That seems like it came out of the NSA. I'm just not sure what to make of Bitcoin. Is it the world's biggest rug pull, or is it digital gold? It's going to be one of those two. I certainly think being in Bitcoin is smarter than anything outside of the ISO 222 coins, and I would not be surprised in the least if Bitcoin hits 100,000 million, whatever, and becomes digital gold. That wouldn't surprise me. I don't have enough confidence in it to own Bitcoin, though, and I would have to have an unimaginably deep stack of XRP, XOM, XDC, HBAR, and some of these other ISO 222 coins, plus gold and silver out the eyeballs, plus having all of my Vedic astrology rings, right, which I want 2 more, and they're actually my next investment is in my next Vedic astrology ring, because this one has been gangbuster since I put it on in October. It's performing vastly better than my wildest dreams. Amazing. So my next investment is definitely a diamond for my Navamsa for my 1st and 6th lord, and 2nd and 9th lord in my natal chart. 100%, that's my next major investment. That said, I'm taking little bites of XRP here and there. Again, not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence. Oh man, I'm late. Good evening, day, Ian. Well, it is evening where I am, and I raised a glass of this Pinot, which is not as good as I'd hoped after giving it more time to breathe. They got me with the Triskelion and named Druid Fluid. Although Druid Fluid also sounds like it could be quite naughty and or disgusting. Hey, Druid, stop getting your fluid in my wine. It's Troon Vineyards here in Portland. Good day, everyone. We've been waiting XRP to flip the switch for years. Hope you're patient. Oh, I'm very patient. I've been sitting on silver since 2007. I'm extremely patient, and I'll never let them shake me out of this stuff. Never. Chad, what is Cliff High on about? Any truth to it? I think you meant Cliff High space on about. I don't keep up with all the Cliff High stuff. I recently did an interview with a woman named Sarah Westall. It hasn't gone up on her channel yet, which I guess she's kind of an OG truther on YouTube and whatever, and has been banned a couple of times. And she probably has a reach of 100,000, 200,000 people, something like that. She's very heavily censored. She's friends with Cliff High and vouches for him, and she seemed like she had integrity to me. I liked her a lot. She felt really sincere, really authentic, really good. I think Cliff is a very high IQ guy who does a real mix of truth and grifting. I think that dude, I would like to have him on my show to talk about Antarctica, but even there, like some of the stuff he says about Antarctica, some of it's like amazing and has the ring of truth, and another of it sounds like lies. And he definitely has lied about certain things to where I know he knows better. One of the things is he tries to pin everything evil on earth into the Khazarian mafia, and that's patently false. That's like blaming, I'm trying to think of like a good analogy. I can't even think of a good analogy, but it's like blaming it's like blaming the CEO of a company for that company's done evil, and then ignoring the board and the stockholders who own it and force that CEO to take those actions. That doesn't remove the CEO's culpability. He chose to be there and get a great paycheck. But this constant drumbeat of Khazarian Mafia, and he never mentions that they're Babylonian and that they're Babylonian sorcerers, and that's who they really are, and that they're just an offshoot of much older, much more ancient evil that emanates from Babylon. That's the Rodanites, that's the Tyrians and Carthaginians, who then moved to Rome and then moved to Venice and become the Venetian bankers before Khazaria was even a fucking Khanate, right? That these same families or bloodlines were doing banking in Babylon before the birth of fucking Abraham, and he gets stuck on the Jew thing. I can't trust that. That guy's smarter than me. There's no fucking way he doesn't know what I know. There's no fucking way. And so he hammers that home endlessly to the detriment of regular Jewish people everywhere, because it is looking like there's this rising tide of anti-Semitism. And so I really don't appreciate Cliff High on that particular point. And I would love to hear his explanation for it. I just don't trust him. He's super high IQ, no doubt about it. I don't know what to think. He says stuff that seems like nonsense all the fucking time. And then other times he says stuff that's, chef's kiss genius. Maybe I'm not smart enough to understand it. I don't know. I'm basically certain he's dead wrong about the Khazarian Mafia is the end all be all. It's just a layer of things, a much outer layer. Right, exactly, Josh. It's because of the Jew thing. It's because of the Jew bashing thing. I'm sick of it. I'm over it. It's tier 1 conspiracy theory. It's the Jews. It's the Masons. It's the Jesuits. It's the Vatican. Right? Like all of those are true and all of them are wrong. Yes, it is. It's the British Crown. All of those are true. It's the British Empire. All of those are true. But it's blaming a sucker on an octopus tentacle for what the octopus is doing. And the octopus is the black nobility. And he should fucking know that. And the fact that he doesn't is very questionable to me. Very questionable to me. Especially he's blaming the Jews. They're all into Crowley and Thelema too. Oh, well, that's not good. I did not know that. Just because you're into Crowley doesn't necessarily make you a Malachian, but it makes me much more suspicious of that, because I have never been able to pin this down, but I've read asserted a number of places from people who seem to be sincere that Crowley was a pedophile, and that's just the minute you cross that line, you're evil. I don't need to know anything else about you. You rape children. That's it. You're evil. You're condemned. It's over. No further discussion. Is Marilyn Manson Luciferian or Malachian? You know, it's funny because he came out a while back and he started to talk about all the pedophile stuff, and then like this huge thing of lights fell on him or something like that. Some big heavy thing fell on him like right after he came out and talked about it. And then all these women came out and tried to say that he was a rapist right after that. And then Dita Von Teese, his ex-wife, came out and said, "What? No, that's all bullshit. He's definitely not like that." So I don't know. He certainly was. You know, he certainly had that sort of Malachian vibe back in the day. I kind of like that song "Beautiful People" from the 90s. I think it's cool he had his ribs removed. I'm just kidding. I don't know if you know that. Whatever. Katy Perry's definitely Malachian, unfortunately. More's the pity. It's part of the reason people think Russell Brand is Malachian instead of Luciferian. What would be an example of most high in the music industry? Mozart, and that's about it. I don't think there's a lot of modern music that's most high associated. The angels have told me that any music that isn't like kind of in praise of creation or the most high is a Luciferian at best. I listen to music outside of that. The only music that I can say with certainty is most high is the music of Mozart. Was directly brought through from the Most High. Maybe not all of it, but huge swaths of Mozart's music. Probably nothing mainstream, exactly. Yep. Ben Taylor, what raised my eyebrows around Tool was their last record entitled Fear Inoculum 2019. Their logo, which resembled a syringe, perhaps that was a warning. Very possibly. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I was not aware of this. I mean, I will admit, I liked some Tool music. The album Lateralis, I liked quite a lot. I'd be very disappointed if it turned out that they were evil, but, you know, welcome to literally practically everyone in Hollywood, right? Yeah, wasn't there a song called Calling Voices? Interesting. Implying the mass and censorship, in my opinion. Wow, interesting. It's on that same album? Now you guys are getting me intrigued here. Shane Vendrell, y'all should get those boosters. Health is most important. You won't be able to spend if you're dead. Please tell me you're making a very sick joke, dude. Like, please tell me you're making a very sick joke. Absolutely do not listen to this person. That is a terrible, terrible piece of advice. And I really hope if you're pushing that advice, it doesn't make me look kindly on you, but I wouldn't wish that on you, that you follow your own advice, because health is most important, and you will not be spending a lot of time if you're busy dying from a turbo cancer or myocardial infarction or et cetera, ad nauseum. So I don't know if that's your attempt at dark humor, but it's not funny. 2021, Astroworld kind of 10 people died. People thought Travis Scott's career would be over, but now he's bigger than ever. He's friends with Obama and Bill Clinton, by the way. Oh, yeah, that guy's definitely Malachian scumbag. No doubt about it. Intelligence and wisdom are not the same, 100%. Well said. Has the millennial kingdom passed or yet to come? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you talking about the 1,000-year reign of the Christ after Revelations? Then that would be yet to come. Bibodev Mizra basically says it happens after 2035, I think he said. Go and watch the Bibodev Mizra part 2, and we talk about that, if that's what you're talking about. Huh. Oh, yeah, someone said this in a previous episode, and that made me look unfavorably upon Damien Eccles, because Johnny Depp is definitely bad news. Marilyn Manson, I'm not sure about. Marilyn Manson might have been part of the cult and then left. Yeah. Oh, okay, Shane. Guess you think you're funny? Like, not cool, not true, not accurate? Please do not. Do not. And I'm just going to go ahead and assume you're a troll, and I'm going to go ahead and just remove you from the channel, because homie, don't play that. Let's see, how do I do that on here? Not sure how to do it. Probably have to go in and do it in here. It's worth my time to do it. I don't want anyone taking this person seriously and then dying early because they listen to this person and they're, you know, I don't know if they're trying to be funny or what is going on, but they're gonna be removed. Dude, man, you like, I guess you think you're funny trolling. You're not funny. Don't take it. It's deadly. It'll kill you, bro. And that's my last bit of advice to you. And good luck to you. Good luck to you if you still think vaccines and boosters are wise this late in 2023. You're going to need good luck. I suspect you're just a troll who has a sick sense of humor. See ya. All right. So that's taken care of. All right. Let me go back in StreamYard. There we go. All right. Yeah, bye. Exactly. Well said. Okay, practical non-duality. I had channeled info before that porn is one of the biggest mega portal for dark energy on Earth. 100%. 100%. Yeah, no doubt about it. It's really, really, really bad. Hardcore pornography. It seems there's some difference when it's just nude men or women. But hardcore pornography, where two people are having sex, usually in a violent, usually in a disrespectful, violent, non-intimate way that sometimes has occult trappings to it. You know, like one of the biggest porn sites out there is named literally Evil Angel. It's absolutely used to sap people's vital energy and take it to dark realms for dark purposes. 100%. You're 100% correct. So, yeah, I have not seen that. No, I can say pretty confidently no. Nobody likes them. Antichrist would be wildly popular. Like, my best three guesses at who would be Antichrist figures would be Elon Musk, Trump, and Obama, but especially Obama. Although I don't think he really fits the bill anymore because he's pretty hated by a bunch of people at this point. Probably the best bet of anyone out there would be Musk, but I suspect we haven't seen them yet, and that they're probably a teenager right now. And so we'd be much more likely to see them, Tropical Girl, in a few years, right? Like in the next few years. They could be as old as in their early 20s based on certain astrological musings that I'm not going to go into right now, and certain like prophecy things and stuff that have come out of various secret societies and so forth about what the Antichrist would look like and when they'd come. The whole thing where you know, that they have to be incredibly popular and beloved, and there really isn't someone who's unifyingly loved like that right now. Trump is gaining in popularity again, so possible. Elon Musk is gaining in popularity, but in the case of Elon, he's hemorrhaging some of his prior supporters in favor of a new group of them. I suspect it's someone we just haven't seen yet. And whoever they are, they would be Obama plus level of charismatic. They would be at least as charismatic as Obama was back in his heyday, right? Talking 2009. And at least as beloved as Obama was back then. Obama in circa 2009 is the best fit of any historical figure in recent memory for the Antichrist. King Charles is laughable. Nobody likes that guy. I don't buy that even in the slightest. So I'm going to give that a big thumbs down because nobody likes him. It's a very interesting question, Tropical Girl. I'm not mocking you. I'm just laughing at the prospect of Prince Charles being in the running, or King Charles, I guess now. Charles in charge of our days. It affects even people that don't watch it. It's that dangerous. Wow, that's horrifying. Yeah, no, porn is scary. I've talked about many times on this channel that I was a porn addict for a long, long, long time, and the angels helped me break that. Hardcore porn addict since the late 90s, mid 90s. I'm not ashamed about it anymore. I want to talk to people about it to help them heal from it. It's insanely, 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 insanely addictive. And that would not surprise me. I think it should be, I think hardcore pornography either needs to be at a bare minimum, a massive, massive, massive overhaul and like letting the women and men unionized. And it's not just about women either, and women being exploited. Men are treated even worse in the gay porn industry, supposedly, than women are. It makes a lot of sense to me because it's men on men, so there'd be no chance of compassion because it's just all male. It's so damaging and awful for the people involved. It's just so damaging and awful. Like the men who are involved in it become completely addicted to it and they can't have a relationship outside of it. And then the women will very often be desensitized and frigid by the time they're done with their career and have no interest in sex and also cannot find a man that wants to be with them. It's super evil. It's super evil. It's not the promiscuity, promiscuity has its risks and problems. It's not the promiscuity. The act itself of taking this powerful, sacred thing and turning it into its most base form, and usually a lot of inversion in there with like violence and treating people bad and stuff like that. Yeah, it's insane. And like just recalling, I'm a dry alcoholic when it comes to porn. It's scary for me. I don't think at this point I could ever get back into hardcore pornography, but it's something that scares me because, like, if I'm watching, say, a sports channel that's of dubious legality to watch like a Blazer game or something, sometimes porno ads will come up, and it scares me that kind of I can feel the lifting of the addiction pain body, so to speak. So yeah, it's incredibly damaging, and I wish it was banned, just not like banned at the legal level, but like deleted from the earth. I wish it was deleted somehow. I wish I could delete it from my mind. Little Bird, the Antichrist birth chart given by Nostradamus is the exact same as the King of Jordan, and he is a direct descendant of Muhammad. That's funny to me because the King of Jordan is like someone that I often cite as one of the only most high politicians there is. So that's extremely funny to me. I was unaware that Nostradamus had given a birth chart for an Antichrist. Never heard that before. The King of Jordan famously has been neutral and avoided any kind of conflicts or having any kind of evil. He is very beloved in his country, but most people don't know who he is. I just don't think that's a good fit either. It's someone we haven't seen yet, probably a Jewish or Arab boy, somewhere between 15 and 20, 22. I could see it being a Palestinian. That points to the Palestinian experience right now coming out of that, or a Jew is very likely. Either of those two would be my most likely, would be a Jew or an Arab would be my most likely candidate for an Antichrist, and they would be phenomenally charismatic, and they would be super appealing initially, much the way Obama was, that some savior coming in to help everybody and very unifying figure. And King of Jordan kind of is that, but he would have already tried to get onto the world stage in a much bigger way if it was him. So I don't put any stock in that. I mean, you're welcome to, but I don't put any stock in that. And we're coming up on the hour here, folks, so I'm going to wrap up. Antichrist is incarnation of doomed consciousness, counter incarnation of non-dual consciousness. Interesting. Not 100%. I agree with that, but that's an interesting thought. And we don't have to agree. We don't have to agree on everything here, folks. I am going to wrap up soon. So any last questions? Now's the time. Any thoughts on David Blaine? You mean like the magician guy from the 90s and early 2000s? Not really. I mean, he was a good illusionist back in the day. He did some really strange stuff. Like, yeah. So I do need to go in just a minute, though. Let's see. Antichrist is supposed to be loved and bring peace. I'm not 100% sure either. Just interesting. Right, or at least like say they want to bring peace. I mean, that does put some credibility towards the King of Jordan, but he would have taken the main stage by now, I feel like. I don't feel like anybody in like their 40s or older could probably be it, except for maybe Musk. Are there any risks involved with practicing angelic magic? Do we need to have prior experience with magic in order to take this class from you? No, you don't. I teach basic magical theory, and I also give all the tools you need to be able to do it. Yes, there's a risk in the sense of if you use the magic, I give all these caveats, don't do the X, Y, and Z. If you try and use it to harm people, that can do damage to you. And also, if you're using it just using magic of any kind gives you a tremendous amount of karma of whatever you're doing, right? So if you're doing something to help people, it gives you positive karma. If you're doing something to harm people, it gives you tremendous negative karma, and it makes it all but certain that you're going to reincarnate here on Earth again. So you have to be willing to reincarnate on Earth again. That would be sort of my big caveat around it. It makes transcending the material plane, which I'm sure non-dual, practical non-duality would be horrified to hear this, but it makes it that much harder. It doesn't make it impossible, but it just makes it much, 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 much more likely that you're going to reincarnate here on Earth. If you're using the magic appropriately in the way that I described, to help enrich yourself, invocation, to become more in alignment with natural law, to help bring about more harmony, peace, love, compassion here on Earth, it's going to be positive for you karmically. So last two questions and I'm done. Any thoughts on the colors of the flag of Jordan? Red, black, white, and green? I don't really have any thoughts on that. Yeah, I mean, like, no, I don't really have any thoughts on that. You remind me of Mr. Beast. Well, as soon as I get Mr. Beast level of subscribers and income, then I'm good to go. I would love that. I don't find him to be, I find him to be baffling that he's just so incredibly popular, but he's incredibly smart. I'll give him that. Like this whole thing where he decided that I'll spend $100,000 on fireworks, knowing that he'll end up making $200,000 from that episode, which gets 5 million views or whatever, is kind of genius. Like he's really great at spending a lot of money and then making it all back on that video. Like he's kind of a genius that way. But it probably helps to have a lot of mommy and daddy seed capital like he did. And I'll have to admit, hard not to be a little jealous of his phenomenal success and wealth, that's for sure. But hats off to you, Mr. Beast. Good job. I don't know of anything problematic about the guy. Some of his friends seem pretty douchey, but he seems okay. So yeah, funny. Never heard that before. I'll take it as a compliment that I'm going to be as successful or more than Mr. Beast. So anyways, I got to wrap up here, guys. But it was lovely seeing you all, and have an awesome rest of your weekend. And of course, have a very Merry Christmas. You're very welcome, Josh. Take care. Much love, everyone. Have an awesome night. See you all around. All right. Bye-bye.